How's it going, guys? It's afternoon already, man. Half the day's gone. All right. Man, it's kind of weird because it's Tuesday. Thinking back, recap from Saturday night. It really disappointing in every imaginable way how it finished. We've talked so much about winning in the margins. Third down, red zone, penalties, especially pre-snap penalties, post-whistle penalties, turnovers. For 54 minutes of that game, some was really good, some was not, right? We got to get to the tight zone offensively and take touchdowns rather than field goals. We got to be better on third down. We were 2 for 20 on third and fourth downs offensively in really long situations most of the night because first and second down, the situations we put ourselves in. We did not turn the football over, created 3 between special teams and defense. Got off the field on third down on defense. So when you're playing on the road, home, but really on the road again in an environment like that against a really good football team, which Alabama is, the margins are tiny. And when the margins are tiny, they all have to go your way. And between what we did offensively and then how we finished. And the finish, you can have whatever narrative, whatever storyline you want. There wasn't anything new Alabama did, but we lost composure in every imaginable way in terms of fitting that same exact run, in terms of we backed off at corner rather than pressed up, which we had all night. And you whether it's a combination of guys trying to make a play, because it was an effort, our kids played incredibly hard, but whether you are trying to take it in your own hands and do something outside of the scheme, or you, for whatever reason, lose confidence in a certain technique, that's where we went back on Sunday and attacked it like crazy. And that's our growth as a program, that's our growth as a team, is those margins, as they shrink, we've got to be perfect. And we were not. And that's why I say disappointing. There's some really, really positives, and I think that's the easy thing to say is, man, we played really well for a while, but I'm going to go back to the expectation, which is to win the football game that's on the schedule, and we fell short. And I say that with complete humility, that coaching that last 6 minutes and 40 seconds is also absolutely critical. And there's a couple of things in there from my side that I didn't do well. And so we went back, we coached the heck out of it. We were incredibly real with our guys. The guys were incredibly receptive and incredibly coachable. I'm really proud of how they took the coaching, really on all 3 sides of the ball and special teams. Like give up a long punt return that kind of rallies into all that, which that's not been our MO. That's also the margins I'm talking about. And it's the fine detail of what it takes to win a football game like that. And we came up short, and it's really disappointing. So that's the truth of it all. And then the challenge for us is turn the page. Yesterday, right when we got on the field yesterday, turn the page to Southern Miss. We get to go back on the road again to a place that most everybody, I think we've got 3 people in our building that have been there. Against a team that's, you look at it, is really well coached. Those guys play really hard. Defensively, a really veteran bunch, 10 seniors coming back that play really, really hard. And offensively, a quarterback that was at Florida State a year ago that played their last 3 games, really inaccurate passer, got really good command for being 2 games into the offense, has really good command of the offense. They've got really good skill, and they're really sound in special teams. They've got an elite returner, a kid that was all conference a year ago that can make things happen as a returner. And so we got to go right back to work, get ready. I'm really encouraged by what practice was like today. Our guys are really, really focused, really energized. And I think our appreciate the realness of which we approach everything with, including what Saturday was into Monday. The challenge was flip the page, let's move on, and let's keep going. And I think they did a really good job today. So I think a really big, challenging week for us, though, to go back on the road and play a team that, record-wise, you could say what you want. Like, you watch the film, they play really hard. They're well coached. New coordinators again. I feel like it's like every week you're dealing with it. Like new coordinators again on both sides. So you're watching other tape besides the 2 games that you got. So we got to do a really, really good job coaching on all 3 sides, and that's a challenge to us as a staff. So I'll open it up to questions.
Alex, Byron was a warrior on the ground Saturday night. There's no question of that. He struggled with his passing game, his pass efficiency. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I think a chunk of that would go on us as coaches, in the sense that I don't know that we did a great job totally getting him in a rhythm. We're a tempo offense where you could see it as a journalist, you could see it as a fan. I'm sure you could see it. There's a rhythm to it, and playing quarterback there's a rhythm to that. When you're not getting a ton going on first down, and then you're sitting there in second down, and like, man, I want to get him in a rhythm where he can hand it off, he can see it, and you could tell, like, him with the ball in his hands was so good for us. So you're trying to gauge, how many hits do I want this kid to take? Yeah. And so, like I said, I think a lot on us as coaches not getting, because he was in a rhythm early. That first drive, man, oh man, was he in a rhythm. And then I feel like we didn't do a good enough job getting him in a rhythm. And, you saw, we tried to get him in a rhythm by shooting the ball vertically a little bit, and you get behind those guys and you don't connect on those, and you keep talking through, man, like, you're good. We're inches away. We're inches away. We're inches away. So, like I said, I think more so than anything else, it's us getting him in a rhythm. I thought the wideouts played extremely hard, but they have really good DBs. They have a really good pass rush. Those linebackers are really good players. Those windows are tighter. They're quicker. They're faster. And like I said, I say most of it, I would take all the blame on not getting him in a rhythm well enough for him to be able to execute. Because when you say that, you're in 3rd and long virtually the entire night. Like, you look at the call sheet 3 quarters into the game, like, man, we haven't used any of our 3rd and short plays, hadn't used any of our 3rd and medium plays, literally. And you're 15 third downs in, and they're all long. Well, it's not impossible, but it's really hard to get in a rhythm when you're stuck in 3rd and long. That's why I say it's more coaching than anything else. Because when you're in 3rd and medium and you could get the ball out of your hand quick, you can get in a rhythm. Never did that. We didn't play action pass as much as we wanted to, so that doesn't get him in a rhythm. I thought he played extremely well. I get the pass efficiency deal. He didn't turn the ball over a single time. It was never careless with the ball. He gave our receivers a chance most of the time to go make a play on it. So I guess when you look at a pass efficiency number, maybe I thought he was efficient in the situations he needed to be efficient in.
And just to follow up, real quick follow-up, Alex. You were at field level. You saw it. How much of a pummeling did he take?
You know what? I thought he did a good job going down when he had to. You could see, like, he's a hard tackle, man. Like, the one hit, I was like, okay, like, man. But you're in it, you're playing, you're moving the football, like, you're like, man, like, we've got to just be smart with what kind of hits he takes. But it's not like he stood in the pocket and was just getting shelled. Yeah. So every time he ran with the ball, when you could go from being a passer to a runner, you're protecting the ball, you're protecting yourself. So I think just the one hit, I think it ended up being the targeting. That was the one that you're like, oh man. But he feels great. He's physically ready for that.
On the 2 or 3 verticals that appeared the receiver was clear, was it just a matter that it was just missed, overthrown, or anything else that you saw that it was attributed to it?
Yeah, no, protection was really good. We just missed those, man. Like, those are, in our offense, those should be 75 to 80% balls, and they weren't. Like, he's obviously got a really good arm and ended up being overthrown 2 of those, which the challenge to him is throw them as far as you can, and we got to go get it, like in that particular set. You figured out what we were trying to get done there.
Can you talk about the play of Mac Harris? He was outstanding most of the night.
Yeah, I mean, I think the entire defense, Mac did a really good job. He played a lot of snaps, 1, getting us lined up, 2, triggering when he could. Again, I think when you get to the last 6 minutes, that didn't look like what it had looked like the first 54, really, as an entire defense. But I thought Mac, through the first 54 minutes, played his best football he ever had. Jamie Petway was incredibly impressive. I thought Rucker was legitimately the best player on the field Saturday night. And I say that with all seriousness, that kid was the best football player on the field Saturday night. I thought really the entire Paco, like those safeties, how they were able to play. Alabama presents a lot of issues just because of the bunches and the motions and the shifts, and it's so different than what they were a year ago. And those guys filled lanes. You got to be really disciplined. There's a bunch of extra gaps created with the extra tight ends. They filled them like they needed to. We were tight in coverage. I thought Kajuan Banks played really good ball. I thought that front played a bunch of guys. Rashad Cheney came back and did a really, really good job. Blue played incredibly well. But I thought those backers, I thought they were aggressive. They were violent. We were really violent. We were really disciplined up until that last 6-minute mark. But I was impressed by Mac in every imaginable way. But to Mac's credit, that's what Mac has been here this last year. Is he's here all day, every day. He's changed his body. He eats right, sleeps right. Like, guys look at him as a leader. And we missed Shu in a lot of ways, but I thought Pet did a really good job stepping in there. And Pet's played in a lot of football games, played him on a lot of big stages too. And so it was really awesome when you talk about depth, having a guy like Pet step in and play 80 snaps and didn't miss a beat, which was impressive.
You mentioned you thought Rucker was the best player on the field. Elaborate, please. How so?
Just the confidence, the physicality, the ability to play coverage. He ended up, felt like at the point of attack on every one of those bunch sets, and violent, just violent. Caused the one turnover, just so confident. Looked like he had been in that moment before, because he had. And that's what experience gives you. That's what confidence gives you. He just played tight coverage the entire day, fit the run physically. For a dude that's not super big, he played so big. And you could see, as disappointed as he was after the game, like broken, absolutely broken, as he should be because of what he's poured into this. You could see, like, chest out, head up, like, we're going to be back in that opportunity again, and I'm going to play like that again because I have, and I believe in my process, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. That young man is just, his humility and his gratefulness to be here is awesome. It's like a refreshing moment every time you get to talk to him, because he's grateful for this opportunity, grateful to be playing ball at the level he's playing at. And it's the Ruck I remember as a freshman that was happy, confident, excited every day, which is what you see now.
And Alex, how have you seen him rub off on the younger players in the room, or even the younger players in general?
Yeah, it's been phenomenal. His confidence, his energy. He's got a guy in Paco Austin playing opposite of him right now. That was his first time in that type of environment. He's played a bunch of football, played a bunch of JMU, but like to be playing across from him, but sitting in a room with him, and they're constantly talking and constantly pushing each other. It's awesome. And you got a guy like Taufik Bayard who's young. Tavin Ward's played a bunch, but he's young too. Kajuan Banks has played a bunch, but and then you add a Barry Hill who's played a ton, and Jalen Stokes who's played a ton. And DeMarco Augustin who's played a ton of ball, not necessarily in that environment. They're all rubbing off of each other. There's a really cool confidence in that DB room right now, as there should be. But that's what camp was like for them, and that's what the summer was like for them. When you have when you have really good players that are also really good leaders, that are also really good human beings, you can build around that, and that's what we've got right now back there.
Well, you mentioned Tawfiq. I believe Saturday night was only his 4th or 5th career game. If you could talk about his development through preseason camp, the first couple weeks of practice, and so forth.
Yeah, he was banged up a little bit this summer, and came into camp really fresh. You talk about a competition there between him and Stokes and Augustin. And Augustin's played in 40 whatever games of college football. Those dudes made each other better. Hammy, Tawfiq, he plays older than he is. He's a really mature football player. You could tell he played in a really good high school program. You could tell he's been well coached. You could tell he's been around ball his whole life. Just really headsy. And for not being the biggest dude, he plays big. He plays really confident. To attribute his process and his preparation, and then the push from Stokes and Augustin. Like, Stokes gives us so much position flexibility back there because he's so intelligent, and Augustin gives us position flexibility because he could play up closer to the line of scrimmage. You want, like at that boundary safety spot, you want dudes that can do multiple things, and really all three of those guys in their own unique ways give us multiplicity on defense. But he's playing more mature than his age right now, which is impressive because that means his future is really bright and it's exciting.
You talk about the red zone, 3 drives, 3 field goals, not what you want. As you look at the execution and the plays, anything that you analyzed, and I know there was a first-time play where Byron fumbled it and that threw the whole thing off. So just as a whole, what did you think of the red zone thing and how you want to get better there?
Yeah, what's frustrating is same story a year ago in terms of not being able to execute in the red zone against that same team, different staff, different scheme. When you get down there, it all condenses down. And so, like, the scheme is critically important. There's less of guys just making a play, and more so the scheme is really, really important. The execution and the timing is got to be at an elite clip because it's all condensed down. You take these dudes that are really good long players, and now you condense them into a box. We live in the world of spacing that box out. And so it condenses down your precision, your execution. Yet the one snap that Byram dropped, that he had carried the ball 4 times on that drive, I believe. And so, like, all right, stop carrying the ball with him as coaches too. Like, let him get settled in and be able to execute. I would attribute a majority of it to us not being able to run the ball, and again, down there specifically, because now those safeties go from 15 yards to 10. Everything just condenses down a little bit. So you can't run it on first down, can't run it on second down. So now you're in third. Now they can drop out and play. And we didn't do a good job. We didn't do a good job getting ourselves into a 3rd and 3 on the 3, or a 3rd and 2 on the 2, where now you could throw it, you could run it, you got options. And so you're in 3rd and long down there. It's a bad way to live. And that's not an excuse. We have to find a way to score on that, but it's a tough way to live.
As you mentioned, your defense played lights out against Alabama last year, and it wasn't sustained over the course of the season. What leads you to believe that the performance Saturday defensively can be sustained?
Yeah, that's a great point. I would argue that the entire program, you have to make sure that same energy, that same enthusiasm, that same focus gets carried through every week. And that's growth as a football team. And I told our guys, and I mean this wholeheartedly, elite programs play at the same standard every week, regardless of who they play against. And are we there yet? Man, I think it takes years to build that standard. I really do. We, as a staff, are trying to accelerate that in so many ways, where that's why, you get sick of me talking about it, but that's why we talk about process being the same every week, process being elite in terms of, man, it don't matter. You could be playing Sisters of the Poor, or you could be playing Alabama. Like, if your approach is the same, your work is the same, how you sleep is the same, how you eat is the same, in terms of if it's right. And then when you show up at the stadium, whether there's 100,000 or there's 20,000, you go attack it the same way. There's a human emotion element involved in that, right? Like, I'm not I'm probably not the smartest person ever, but I'm smart enough to know there's truly an emotional element involved in it. And there's an emotional intelligence level involved in that where guys can control their true daily habits, their true daily emotions that carry over into Saturday where you show up. And at the end of the day, our whole deal is, man, it ends up being one-on-one against whoever. Whatever the scheme is, whatever position you're playing, it's one-on-one against whoever. Like, can you build yourself up so much that when you get into that one-on-one battle, one, you know what the other guy's going to do, but two, go physically dominate him at every position. And therefore, it should be regardless of who you're playing. That's the biggest challenge. And that's where, if the standards of your program are that you're going to work at an elite clip every single day, then the Saturdays take care of themselves. We'll see if we're there. Like, I'm fighting that daily to make sure it is done that way. But we'll find out. If I knew the answer, I could tell you. But I'm confident because we're more mature. I'm confident because we're older. I'm confident because we have last year to point to and say, man, like, the inconsistencies and the ups and downs are because of our process and because of our lack of mental toughness. We go and we beat, who is it? It was Navy and Rice, right? And like, now we're first back-to-back conference wins, 6 year. Like, you're sitting here and you're like, what are these people talking about? Like, that's why I tell them, like, we've talked about the inner circle. Like, we're going to tell you the truth. The truth is 54 minutes really well, 6 minutes of garbage, like the worst crap you could ever imagine, makes you sick, you want to throw up. And then, but the 54 minutes were really good. All right, we got to replicate the 54. We got to finish that fourth. So we went back, like, I'm like, man, am I screwing this up in terms of what our process is at the end? So today, fourth quarter, we work the fourth quarter every single day. That's the end of practice. Brought them up, and it wasn't just, man, break them down. Everybody grab a knee. We got 6 minutes, 40 seconds right now. How will I finish? And literally challenge the coaches, the trainers, freaking water people. You are laser focused right now. Myself, laser focused. Players, laser focused. Like, laser focused. That doesn't mean you can't play free and you can't make a mistake, but you're laser, like, no BS, no nothing. Everybody, the entire program right now locked in. All right, maybe I didn't make a big enough emphasis on the fourth quarter. Maybe that's coaching. Maybe that's me. I changed my process. So now I'm going to bring them up. We're going to talk about the importance of it every day to make sure that it's important so it doesn't happen again.
If you're sitting at home and at the 54-minute mark, your power goes out, you wake up the next morning, you see 42:16, you go, what the heck? So does it irk you to know that 42:16 goes in the record books, or it is what it is? You know, just because that doesn't tell the story of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, like, you know, I'm always going to be honest with y'all. Like, yeah, it irks me. The whole thing irks me.
Right.
Yeah, like, I couldn't sleep. I literally, like, yeah, it breaks my soul because we couldn't go finish that game. And the easy cop-out thing to say is, man, we played really well for 54 minutes. You see us, man? Like, see that? We were competitive. We were, like, no, it's on the schedule. You go play it. You go win it. Like, my job is to build a program where we're winning that football game. Power went out. You probably went to bed happy. Power didn't go out for me, so I was pissed off. But at the end of the day, sun came up Sunday, and we went back to work. But yeah, even if it was 21-16, I'd still be sick because a loss is a loss.
Win, loss, loss.
Yeah, I think so. I don't think it matters. But I do think we got the attention of, at least on the recruiting side, it felt like, man, like, got the attention of some guys like, man, coach, I'm coming for us to win that game. Awesome.
Normally, when you watch film after a game, you find out you did stuff better than you thought you did, and you probably did stuff a little worse than you thought you did. Anything jump out at you once you watch the film?
Yeah, I thought we played really, really, really hard. And I'm going to say this too, that last 6 minutes, we played really hard. I mean that wholeheartedly. And I watched that film as critical as anybody of myself and our team. We played really hard in the last 6 minutes. That's why At some point, I can go to sleep, Joey. I will at some point. Because we did play really, really hard. It wasn't a lack of effort. It was a complete lack of execution. And execution in the sense of when dudes got blown out tired, they were out of a gap, or they did something they shouldn't have done, or they didn't get the signal as fast as they needed to, or on punt, they didn't cover down to the right shoulder. That's execution. That's coaching. So that's what I saw was high end effort. And I think, Joey, to your point, can you carry that over week to week to week? On elite teams, you can. We did not.
Coach, last year, only once did you have back-to-back losses. That's huge. What do you do specifically to make sure that one loss doesn't fester into two?
Just go back to our process and worry about the process and not worry about the fact that we lost that game, but worry about what happened in the last 6 minutes, what happened in the first 54 that made us successful on teams, on defense, at times offensively, and attack the process more so than the end result.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely.
Did you, when you got here, Kelly Joyner had already been here forever, did you have to re-recruit him or compel him to stay, or was he just a USF guy through and through?
Yeah, he was banged up. And the fascinating thing about Kelly is, when I got here, there was a young man that had a really good year at running back, and Kelly was kind of on the back burner, right? Like, because all you're looking at is stats, and you have a write-up on each guy that, in preparation for taking the job, you had. But you knew Kelly going into that fall camp was the guy, and you knew 2 weeks into the camp that he was supposed to have been the guy, but he was hurt. And so there was no re-recruiting Kelly in the sense of he was banged up, he was coming back. I told Kelly straight up, and I think I said this in here, we did Kelly a disservice a year ago, and it's what we had to do for our team by moving him into the slot because he was so dynamic for us. We were so banged up that first spring where he never got settled in. He never got settled in at the slot. Then he came back, and we tried to put him back at running back when we got healthy there, and he never got settled in. It was a new scheme, new coaches, new everything. Never got settled in. Then he got turf toe, and I literally have apologized to Kelly numerous times for it, and I'm trying to make it up to him now that we screwed him last year. I say we screwed him. It's probably not the right term. We did him a disservice. Certainly never intentionally did that, but we did what we thought was best for the team. Right now, Kelly's the best version of him because he's been able to have an off season. He's trained incredibly hard. He's doing a really, really good job. And his deficiencies, which have been in the pass pro world, he's cleaned up and worked relentlessly hard. He's also graduated with I don't know how many degrees, so he's got extra time now to spend on it. But he's been awesome, and have not had to re-recruit him.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Perry, was it 100 people you had at the game?
91.
91.
Yes, sir. 91. But you can might as well say 100. I know some extra people came.
Any questions for RJ?
You're people from Alabama?
Yes, sir. I'm from Birmingham, Alabama.
Birmingham. That's
Yes,
right,
sir.
That's right.
Did you, RJ, you had faced Alabama 2 or 3 times before Saturday night, I guess?
Yes, sir. Since my freshman year.
Right.
Started off in 2020. Been playing since then.
Yeah, I'm just curious, did you notice anything different given that they have a new staff, anything scheme-wise that you said, wow, that's a lot different than what you were accustomed to seeing?
I did, especially in the formations on the defense. But it was like seeing some of the guys that I played against in high school, seeing them out there actually playing this time, this go around. So it was like, yeah, it's a new team, new franchise. Guys are going. So I'm like, got to lock in and be focused.
You were on the field Saturday. You had the perfect perspective. How much of a warrior was Byron Saturday?
He's a warrior every Saturday, every day, Sundays, Mondays, Tuesdays, whatever day it is of the week. He's a warrior. But Saturday, like it really stood out to me. Like that's the guy. That's gonna be the guy for the next few years that he's gonna be here. And he's gonna be a potential first round, second round draft pick.
Were there a couple plays where you thought he wouldn't get up?
I did. I did sometimes. I'm like, this is my guy. I know he's gonna get up. I know he's tough. He's built for this type of atmosphere. He's made for this type of environment. So I know he's gonna get up. He's tough.
You mentioned that, you know, there were guys you played against in high school and all that. Any of them come up to you afterwards and say anything?
Yes, sir. A couple of my guys, Quindarius Robertson, number 34. He was talking to me for a little minute. Then he asked me where my pops and them was at. He went over to talk to my pops and them. Tim Keenan, number 96, the interior. Me and him talked to them for a little minute. And then who else? Malachi Moore. He talked to me, the safety.
Yeah.
Me and him talked to them for a little bit.
What were they saying to you? Like, man, you guys were good tonight, or
Yes,
what?
sir. They was talking about how good we were. Y'all had us scared, and they was saying how much better we got from last year to now. So I'm like, appreciate it. But it wasn't all that. We could have beat y'all. We should have beat y'all. But we kept it at that. Chopped it up for a little minute, then we just went by our way.
I think they know that too.
Yes, sir.
Watching that game, when you looked at what was going on in the trenches, that was hand-to-hand combat in the war, wasn't it?
Yes, sir. It was every day in the church is war. We just had war today. But in that game specifically, like, it was war every play. Like, it was no plays off with those guys. They came at it. They gave us their best every play. And we had to bring ours. Simple as that.
Coach Golesh's pregame was put on TV, and he said, don't play the logo, win your one-on-one battle.
Yes, sir.
How important is that?
That's very important because the logo is just a logo, but the person that's in front of you is the man that's stopping you from making your money. So if you got dreams and aspirations of going to that league one day, you got to beat the man that's in front of you, not the name or the logo that's on his chest. So just because we play Alabama don't mean we playing Alabama. We playing whoever that is in front of me or whoever that is, bait that playing safety. That's who we playing against, not the team.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
How hard is it to turn the page after a big kind of an emotional game like that and focus on the next game ahead?
It's very hard, like very. But coming from like playing football, growing up, you gotta know you got adversity is gonna hit. So it's either you gonna sit there and just let it marinate in your head, or you gonna move on. But I got this little saying called you either gonna barbecue or you gonna mildew. That's either you gonna cook something or you gonna let it sit there. And I'm trying to cook something, so I'm on the Southern Miss right now.
What was your favorite barbecue place in Birmingham?
Full Moon.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Full Moon. We used to eat there a lot.
Yeah,
They got some good red velvet cake.
yeah. You took the opening kick and you drove about 70 yards. You had to settle for 3. You got points. Your fourth possession, much the same. You went down the field, but again, had to settle for 3. And of course, when you're playing a top team like Alabama, you want to take advantage of those opportunities because you may not get many more.
Absolutely.
And put it in the end zone. Was there a sense of frustration building, or was it one of those things where you're saying, okay, we're moving the ball pretty well?
We never had no frustration going on throughout that game. Nobody, from the center to the quarterback to the punters, the kickers, nobody had no frustration because we knew we can score with them and we knew we can be in that game. But we knew we had to win our one-on-ones, and sometimes we wasn't doing that. We was playing at their level when we should have been playing at our level. And as you can see, we can compete with anybody in the world, but we got to play our game, and we didn't play as much of that Saturday. We had a few here and there, but not the whole 4 quarters.
Right.
Anything else, Roger?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
That's it? As usual. Appreciate you. Just go to the podium, man. All right, Nickelback, Kajuan Banks, fresh off his extra jugs he does daily. Good question.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Good. How about yourself?
Good, how you?
Good. obviously a veteran from the SEC, just like Deshaun is. Can you talk about what Deshaun brings to the group every day? And
he
did you
bring-
know him from previous as well?
Yeah. Yeah, Deshaun bring a pro mindset to the group every day. Like he never on no list. You feel me? He get everything right. You feel me? In the meeting rooms, he put his input in with the coaches, trying to make sure the young guys right, trying to make sure I'm right. You feel me? Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah. And since you're both defensive backs, you didn't play against him
Yeah.
when he was at Tennessee, but did you have familiarity with him?
Oh yeah. We was in like middle school, high school together.
Okay.
Yeah. We went to the same middle school, same high school, played on the same football, track, and basketball team.
Well, it's been pretty neat reuniting with him back
Yes,
here.
sir. Yes, sir. For sure, definitely neat.
You're roommates right now.
Yeah, every roommate.
You were definitely familiar with him then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So people were saying, you know, how great you guys played for 54 minutes and going toe-to-toe with the number 4 team in the country, but do you feel like it was an opportunity lost?
I don't feel like it's an opportunity loss. I feel like it's like a live and learn type of thing. You know, we gotta finish the game out. You feel me? We can't go for 3.5 quarters. We gotta go for all 4 to the buzzer, till the clock hits 0. Yes, sir.
Okay.
This team played lights out against Alabama last season too, and just couldn't sustain that kind of defensive performance. What's the key to doing what you did Saturday and replicating it, sustaining it?
I mean, it's just a buy-in thing. You just gotta buy into what Coach Golesh preaches every day. He preaches that the process. Make sure your process is right. If your process is right, make sure it's better. So we don't go out and play for 3 quarters again, and then 4th quarter everything go downhill. He want us to make sure our process is correct, so we play for all 4 quarters.
If you get back to Deshaun for a moment, did you guys maybe talk about how neat it would be to go to the same college out of high school? Or did it look like you were definitely going to take different paths? Obviously, you to South Carolina and him to Tennessee.
Nah. At first, well, he was there when I got my first offer. My first offer was Tennessee, and I got it at Tennessee when I was with him. I had went to Tennessee with him on a visit, and I had got my first offer there. So I was really planning on going there until the coach staff situation happened.
When you look at the game Saturday, 2 huge turnovers by the defense there. Did that get the adrenaline pumping even harder?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know, we Coach T.O. he preached that. Make sure we punch at the ball. Make sure we get those balls. Make sure we get them turnovers. We had a couple of turnovers on down, but we want to get our hands on the ball just like the offense.
When you look at that game, the only people who thought you could play with them were the guys in your group. How important was it to play for your brother?
Yeah, you play for your brother. The whole coaching staff preaches that. Play for your brother. Make sure your brother is good. Run for your brother. You feel me? Yeah. The whole coaching staff preaches that.
Thanks.
Sure.
Anything else for Kajuan?
Thank y'all.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Okay.
Good day.
The holding call on Perry may have been one of the 5 worst calls I've ever seen in football.
Was not your own.
With what they were letting Alabama get away with the whole game, and you call that, it's not like he's out in the open. All he did was extend his arm.
Didn't let Alabama's right tackle get away with a lot of.
Every play.
Alabama has more penalty yards.